Bear and Joe Show Christmas series. So, as it is the morning of December 1st, 2022, I have decided to start our Christmas series a little bit early. Of course, as you may or may not know, I get some big Christmas holidays pretty much around 15th, 16th, so I might be stepping up my videos then, because, we're Sans family here, people. Well, me and my wonderful bear. But it's not like I've got a great, extraordinary amount of relatives. But you benefit from this because I can then, share my genius with everyone. So hopefully that would be wonderful. And my Christmas gift to you, your Christmas gift would be to watch them and like and subscribe and all of those wonderful things. So that's us this morning. Here we are before I'm starting to do my Thursday class. And as you may or may not know, every year I give the Christmas Carol a run for its money. I try and take a pass at it and see if I can do a better job this year than I've done in previous years. And I also try and look at different versions. So this one, boom, the Christmas Carol, an oldie but a goodie. This is not a Scholastic. This one is a HarperCollins. So still kind of a children's edition, but actually stays very faithful to the original version, which of course is the best version because it's the version that Charles Dickens wrote himself. And I actually used to have this sweet little tiny edition, but I don't know wherever in the many moves if I have managed to keep that. But I'm going to try and see if I can find that one as well. Oh man, are we gonna sneeze? Are we gonna sneeze? I think we might sneeze. But anyway, so that's the plan. So in a way, it's kind of a Bear and Cheryl show / Christmas book corner. So I think we might do a Christmas book corner song. Let's see. What do you think, baby? We need a Christmas book corner song. I'm trying to think of something interesting. Yeah, I think we're going to go with something. Maybe have some kind of a Christmassy thing. And like we did last year, we might sing some Christmas music as well. So that might be interesting. So Bear's here, all his glory. Hey everybody, hey. He always likes the Christmas series. So very many times as much as me. And as I promised you, we do have a guest who may join us on some of our videos. Maxie, are you around? Maxie. Well, no, we want you to come on. We want you to come on and hang out with us. No, the people are lovely. They're waiting for you. Yeah. Didn't Bear give you the brief? Yeah, it's really fun. You might like it. No, the Grinch isn't anywhere. As you know, the Grinch, and he's reformed anyway, but the Grinch isn't anywhere around. So it's okay. Okay, hang on, everybody. We're just getting Maxie. He's a little bit camera shy since his last very famous video where he was being the reindeer. That wasn't the most enjoyable. But he's coming down to be with us today on our show. So everybody, warm welcome, Max from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Maxie! Welcome, Maxie. How are you? Hey, man. Sorry, we need a drink here, people. This is thirsty work. And I know I do not have my Christmas cup out yet because we're just transitioning. But in future episodes, I will be having my Christmas cup. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Thank you, Max, for your wonderful rendition of that beautiful song. Right on, right on. So, we are going to do a little bit of a Bears Book Corner situation. Here we are. Boom. As I said, A Christmas Carol. And what I think we might do is read it per stave, right? So, as you may or may not know, this is from the Victorian era. And I'd have to look up again when it was actually published. It was sometime in the 1800s, you know, because it was a Victorian situation. And we call it Victorian because of Queen Victoria. Quick question. How are Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth related? I think she might be her, like, great-great-grandmother. I'd have to check on the amount of greats, but they're definitely related. Because Queen Victoria had so many kids, as you may or may not remember. And so she married them all to the houses of Europe, which is what you did back in the day. So almost everybody is somewhat related to Queen Victoria in that sense. So, everybody, we're going to give it a go, see what happens. I have endeavored in this ghostly little book to raise the ghost of an idea, which shall not put my readers out of humor with themselves, with each other, with the season, or with me. May it haunt their houses pleasantly, and no one wish to lay it. Their faithful friend and servant, Charles Dickens. December 1843. Well, thank you, man. It's December 1843, and you may or may not remember it was serialized in the newspapers of the time because newspapers were somewhat still a new invention. So people really enjoyed it. So they would actually, and people used to do that years ago, they would print stories back when newspapers were a much bigger deal than they are now. And you would wait. And you would wait and wait for the newspaper to come out so you could read it. It was quite a big deal. Back in the day, you know, lots of different things. So, A Christmas Carol. Okay, Bear, are you going to help me with this? Or are you just going to, like, he just loves this story. Okay, just, yeah, be entertaining for the people. Just be entertaining. Okay. Okay, right on. Right on. There isn't really a lot of pictures, so I was just going to read it, but this is what it looks like for everybody. So that's kind of where we are. Marley was dead to begin with. Ooh, that's a big opening, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's a big opening. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman. I'm going to try and remember to say Clark because Clark is the British version. And as you know, we are Commonwealth members in Canada. Although we do tend to sometimes use the word clerk because it's U.S. and clerk because it's British. We kind of do a mix of both because we are next to the United States, but then we are also of the British Commonwealth, so we tend to use a bit of both, you know. So I'm going to try and remember to use Clark. Let me know in the comments if I don't always do it, because I'm going to try. Okay. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he choose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade. But the wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and my unhallowed hands shall not disturb it, or the country's done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically that Marley was as dead as a doornail. Maxie, what are you doing? Maxie? Yeah. Well, no, I think it's nice that you wanted to be entertaining, but I haven't got the spot right now. You're in the shot. Yeah, you're in, as they say, the shot. So, the people want to listen to me reading, I think. Okay, what do you want to do, people? You want to watch him dancing, or do you want to watch me reading? Okay, put it in the comments. Okay, no, can you, yeah, well, no, okay, why don't you sit there? Sit there with baby, and then you can listen to it. It's good. Okay, hang on. Yeah, you're in the shot now, kind of. Okay. So, where were we? Okay. Scrooge knew he was dead. Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole assign, his sole residui legatee, his sole friend, and sole mourner. And even Scrooge was not so dreadfully caught up by the sad event, but that he was an excellent man of business on the very day of the funeral, and solemnized it with an undoubted bargain. We need a drink. Hang on a second, people. It's thirsty work. Okay. The mention of Marley's funeral brings me back to the point I started from. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come about the story I'm going to relate. If we were not perfectly convinced that Hamlet's father died before the play began, there would be nothing more remarkable in his taking a stroll at night in an easterly wind upon his own ramparts than there would be in any other middle-aged gentleman rashly turning out after dark in a breezy spot, say St. Paul's churchyard, for instance, literally to astonish his son's weak mind. Okay, we are going to editorialize for a minute. St. Paul's churchyard, I believe everybody would have known, because that is what we call an allusion. You know, as those of you may know, I am an English teacher as well. Allusion means you're alluding to something, and people back then would have known. I believe it's in Rome. I believe it's St. Paul's Cathedral in Rome. Don't quote me on that. I believe it is. And of course, Hamlet. Everybody, quick quiz. Who wrote Hamlet? Who wrote Hamlet? William Shakespeare. And of course, they would have also known that because we used to revere Shakespeare a little bit more than we do now. So I think we ought to get back to it. William Shakespeare, one of the greatest plays in the history of the world, Hamlet. Let's keep reading because we want to move this baby along here. We're at 13 minutes. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood years afterwards above the warehouse door. Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge, and sometimes Marley, but he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. But he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone was Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire. Secret and self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red. His thin lips blew and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was upon his head and his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature always about with him. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw 1 degree at Christmas, which meant dog days, for some reason, means very hot. So like the little bit of heat we had back in the summer, if anybody remembers. It'd be like that. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry chill weather chill him, no wind that blew was bitterer than he, no falling snow was more intent upon its purpose, no pelting rain less open to entreaty. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain, snow and hail and sleet, could boast of the advantage over him in only one respect. They often came down handsomely. Scrooge, well, he never did. Drink break. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? Will you come to see me? You're doing it again, Maxie." Everybody. Photobomb. Maxie, it's funny, but I'm trying to get through this story. Maxie, I think he just likes to get on the screen. When will you come to see me? No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what it was o'clock. No man or woman ever once in all his life inquired such and such a way to such and such a place of Scrooge. Even the blind men's dogs appeared to know him, and when they saw him coming on, would tug their owners into doorways and up courts, and then would wag their tails as though they said, "No eye at all is better than an evil eye, Dark Master." But what did Scrooge care? It was the very thing he liked. To edge his way along the crowded paths of life, wanting all human sympathy to keep its distance, was what the knowing ones called nuts to Scrooge. Once upon a time, of all the good old days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court outside go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already, and it had not been light all day, and candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. See, that's just good writing, right? I mean, you can just feel that writing, right? That writing's like here, it's alive, it's powerful, right? The fog came pouring in at every chink and keyhole, and was so dense without that although the court was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were mere phantoms. To see the dingy cloud come drooping down, obscuring everything, one might have thought that nature lived hard by and was brewing on a large scale. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open, that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, clerk, who was in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge has a very small fire, but the clerk, you almost got me there, clerk, was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. He couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room, so surely the clerk came in with the shovel. The master predicted that it would be necessary for them to part, which of course would have been an issue because there was no welfare back in those days. And you know, Bob, he had quite the family. Wherefore the clerk put on his white comforter and tried to warm himself at the candle, at which effort, not being a man of a strong imagination, he failed. Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you! Cried a cheerful voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first intimation he had of his approach. He had heated himself so much in the rapid walking, and this fog and this frost, that this nephew of Scrooge, that he was all aglow. His face was ruddy and handsome, his eyes sparkled, and his breast, well, it smoked again. "Christmas a humbug, Uncle," said Scrooge's nephew. "You don't mean that, I'm sure." "I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas. What right do you have to be merry? What reason do you have to be merry? You're poor enough." "Come then," returned the nephew, gaily. "What right do you have to be dismal? What reason do you have to be so morose? You're rich enough." Scrooge, having no better answer ready on the spur of the moment, said "Bah!" again, and followed it up with a "Humbug!" "Don't be cross, uncle," said the nephew. "What else can I be?" returned the uncle. "When I live in such a world as fools as this. Merry Christmas! Out upon a Merry Christmas! What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer? A time for balancing your books and having every item in them through the round dozen of months presented dead against you." "If I could work my will," said Scrooge indignantly, "every idiot that went about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should." "Uncle!" pleaded the nephew. "Nephew!" returned the uncle sternly. "Keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine." "Keep it?" repeated Scrooge's nephews. "But you don't keep it." "Let me leave it alone, then," said Scrooge. "Much good may it do you. Much good has it ever done you." "There are a great many things from which I might have derived good, by which I have not profited, I dare say," returned the nephew. "Christmas among the rest. But I am sure that I have always thought of Christmas time when it has come around, apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, Jesus. If anything belonging to that can be a part of it, it's a good time, a kind, a forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely, and to think of other people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in me pockets, I believe that it has done me good, and it will do me good, and I say, God bless it." The clerk in the tank involuntarily applauded. Becoming immediately sensible of the impropriety, he poked the fire and extinguished the last frail spark forever. "Let me hear another sound from you," said Scrooge, "and you'll keep Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir," he added, turning to his nephew. "I wonder you don't go into Parliament." "Don't be angry, Uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow." Scrooge said that he would see him. Yes, indeed he did. He said he went to the whole length of the expression, and said that he would see him in that extremity first. "But why?" cried Scrooge's nephew. "Why?" "Why did you get married?" said Scrooge. "Because I fell in love." "Because you fell in love," growled Scrooge, as if that was the only thing in the world more ridiculous than a Merry Christmas. "Good afternoon." "Nay, Uncle, but you never came to see me before that happened. Why give it a reason for not coming now?" "Good afternoon," said Scrooge. "I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why cannot we be friends?" "Good afternoon," said Scrooge. "I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had any quarrel to which I have been a party. But I made the trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So a Merry Christmas, Uncle." "Good afternoon," said Scrooge. "And a Happy New Year." "Good afternoon," said Scrooge. His nephew left the room without an angry word, notwithstanding. He stopped at the outer door to bestow the greetings of the season on the clerk, who, cold as he was warmer than Scrooge, for he returned them cordially. "There's another fellow," muttered Scrooge, who overheard him. "My clerk, with 15 shillings a week and a wife and family, talking about a Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam," which you may or may not know is the very famous mental hospital back in the day. I believe it was called St. Bethlehem's Hospital. An ugly place. And that's what he was referring to. This lunatic, in letting Scrooge's nephew out, had let 2 other people in. They were portly gentlemen, pleasant to behold, and now stood with their hats off in Scrooge's office. They had books and papers in their hands and bowed to him. We are going to stop there because I don't want to make this particular Bear and Cheryl show really too long. But we're going to keep reading. So we're going to serialize it like Charles Dickens did himself so many, many years ago in the Victorian era. So I hope that you have a wonderful first day of Christmas. You can come back now, Maxie. Okay, hang on, Max is going to come back because we're finishing the show. Thank you, Maxie. So we're gonna see you guys soon. So the Bear and Cheryl Show, Christmas #1 edition.